Picture a country waking up to a storm of determination rather than thunder. Imagine entire streets falling silent, not because businesses were closed or politics had paralyzed daily life, but because tens of thousands of people had abandoned their routines to do one thing no one believed possible: clean an entire nation in just 7 days. There were no high-tech machines, no billion-dollar aid programs, and no foreign intervention. Instead, there were brooms made of straw, wheelbarrows dented from years of use, hands hardened by labor, and hearts unshaken by fatigue. For 1 week, Burkina Faso became a country united not by protest or war, but by one of the rarest forces in human history: collective civic willpower. And at the center of this wave was a young military leader, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, who simply asked his people to own their land, protect their home, and build their dignity. From his words came an avalanche of action. Farmers left their fields, traders locked their stalls, teachers closed their classrooms, even soldiers stepped away from their barracks. So, what really happened in those 7 days? How did a landlocked West African country, often described as too fragile to manage itself by its critics, do something so extraordinary? In this video, let's find out. The moment it all began was unexpectedly simple, yet profoundly symbolic. On national television, Captain Ibrahim Traoré appeared without the usual ceremonial background of flags and official podiums. There was no military saluting, no theatrical staging. Instead, he stood there in plain fatigues, looking directly into the camera, his voice steady but heartfelt. "Burkina Faso is our home," he said, "and no one else will care for it if we do not." These words were neither an order nor a plea. They were an awakening. For decades, many Burkinabe had felt overlooked by foreign powers, by regional politics, and often by their own government. But Traoré's call cut through cynicism, reaching both urban professionals and rural farmers alike. Within hours, something unusual happened. The conversation shifted. Markets, usually buzzing with chatter about prices and harvests, were now filled with talk of organizing community groups. Radio hosts who had just reported on routine political disputes suddenly changed tone, urging their listeners to step forward. Religious leaders, both Muslim and Christian, quoted the president's words during services, reframing the cleanup not as labor, but as an act of faith and civic pride. What followed was remarkable. Within just 48 hours, sign-up lists at town halls and local administrative offices were overwhelmed. Over 30,000 people pledged their hands and their time, despite having no financial incentive. These were not government workers carrying out a directive. They were ordinary people choosing action over apathy. Women who usually woke before dawn to sell vegetables paused their businesses, trading baskets of tomatoes and onions for brooms and gloves. Students postponed classes and exams, saying, "The future of our country is also our lesson today." Farmers who spent their lives battling dry soils and harsh climates put aside their plows to shovel trash and clear drainage ditches. Even soldiers, often tasked with confronting security threats, left their posts not to enforce an order, but to stand shoulder to shoulder with civilians, proving their loyalty was not just to the state, but to the community itself. Traditional leaders organized volunteer shifts. Some towns developed their own ranking systems, turning the cleanup into a friendly competition between neighborhoods. Local radio stations became nerve centers, not only broadcasting instructions, but also motivating people by sharing daily updates of progress and success stories. Volunteers in rural areas, often without internet access, received updates via motorbike couriers carrying handwritten notes and flyers, a grassroots communication strategy that felt almost revolutionary. Despite the country's limited internet infrastructure, social media played a key role. Youth groups flooded Facebook and WhatsApp with before and after images of cleaned-up streets, sparking a wave of pride across villages and cities. Even remote areas joined in, determined not to be outdone by the bigger towns. What looked like chaos from the outside was, in reality, a well-orchestrated people's operation. a rare case where civic spirit replaced bureaucracy. When the first morning of the cleanup arrived, it was as though Burkina Faso had collectively hit pause on its usual routine. Markets that normally roared with trade at dawn were uncharacteristically quiet, their vendors now wearing rubber gloves instead of aprons. Children skipped their usual games to join their parents in sweeping and collecting garbage. Government offices allowed staff to participate, while small businesses temporarily closed shop to join the nationwide initiative. For 7 straight days, the country's soundtrack changed. Instead of the usual mix of honking motorcycles and market calls, streets echoed with the scrape of shovels on pavement, the rhythmic sweeps of handmade brooms, and spontaneous chants of unity. One country, one people, one future. These sounds symbolize not just physical labor, but a mental shift, a population moving in unison toward a shared goal. Surprisingly, the scale of participation was staggering. In major urban hubs like Ouagadougou and Bobo-Dioulasso, volunteer numbers exceeded anything previously seen. Entire urban districts were divided into zones, each managed by neighborhood committees that ensured every street was addressed. Teams worked in rotating shifts, ensuring that no one was overburdened, and yet every area saw progress. Urban slums, places historically overlooked by municipal sanitation services, were cleaned for the first time in decades. Narrow alleyways once choked with waste became open and safe passageways. In rural villages, communities took on tasks unique to their environment. Farmers cleared water channels long blocked by plastic and silt, restoring irrigation routes crucial for their crops. Village elders led teams to reopen wells and clean surrounding areas, preventing contamination and improving water access. Schools received special attention, with classrooms swept, desks repaired, and playgrounds disinfected. Hospitals and clinics underwent deep cleaning, transforming from outdated, cluttered spaces into hygienic, welcoming facilities where patients felt safer. Before we continue further, tell us, are you enjoying the video? If yes, please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on Black Africa. Let's continue now. By the end of the week, official reports estimated thousands of tons of waste had been removed nationwide. Drainage systems that once flooded during the rainy season were unclogged, reducing future risk of waterborne diseases and property damage. Streets previously avoided due to unsafe conditions became lively public spaces. Children expressed their excitement in colorful ways, painting murals and planting flowers along newly cleaned pathways, turning the cleanup into a creative, cultural event as well as a sanitary one. The sheer speed and organization of this transformation shocked even longtime observers of civic activism. Many compared it to post-war reconstruction efforts, except this time there was no external funding or NGO management. It was purely citizen-driven. It demonstrated something rare, that a united people, even with limited financial resources, could produce visible, measurable, and lasting change in just 1 week. The impact of the cleanup went far beyond aesthetics. It became an unplanned yet powerful public health revolution. Burkina Faso, like many Sahelian nations, has long struggled with sanitation-related illnesses, like cholera outbreaks following heavy rains, malaria cases worsened by stagnant water, and diarrhea often linked to unclean living conditions. These weren't just statistics. They were daily realities for thousands of families. In the weeks following the cleanup, clinics across Ouagadougou, Bobo-Dioulasso, and dozens of rural health posts reported something unusual. Fewer patients arriving with sanitation-related illnesses. Doctors who had grown accustomed to treating long queues of cholera cases and typhoid infections noticed an immediate decline in emergency visits. Nurses reported less pressure on already stretched medical supplies because basic infections and sanitation-related fevers had sharply reduced. For many healthcare workers, the connection was obvious. Cleaner streets, unclogged drainage, and safer water sources directly translated into healthier communities. The environmental results were equally transformative. Streams and small rivers previously choked with plastic bags, food waste, and debris flowed freely again. Water sources once deemed unsafe were tested and found to have dramatically improved quality, giving rural communities access to cleaner drinking water without needing expensive purification methods. Farmers noticed something rarely discussed in news headlines: improved irrigation flow. When canals and small waterways were cleared, crop irrigation improved, helping increase efficiency during one of the toughest agricultural seasons in recent memory. This boost to local farming carried potential long-term benefits, from increased food production to reduced reliance on food imports. What made this historic wasn't simply that Burkina Faso was physically cleaner, it was that it became spiritually and socially cleaner. For decades, many African countries, including Burkina Faso, have been tied to cycles of external dependency, waiting for foreign NGOs to build infrastructure, for international aid to solve crises, or for governments to launch top-down programs. This 7-day wave of unity shattered that cycle. The most striking image was the diversity of those who led it. Women, who form the backbone of Burkina Faso's local economies, organized cleanup brigades across bustling marketplaces and residential neighborhoods. Their leadership challenged traditional gender roles and highlighted how transformative change often begins with women mobilizing communities. Young people, usually portrayed as disillusioned by unemployment or migration challenges, led street-by-street cleaning squads, carrying buckets, shovels, and rakes with infectious energy. Soldiers, normally seen as enforcers of order, worked shoulder to shoulder with civilians, signaling a rare moment of unity between citizens and the state. Religious leaders took the moment further by framing it as a moral and even spiritual obligation. Imams spoke of cleanliness as a divine duty in their Friday sermons. Pastors echoed similar themes in Sunday services, and traditional chiefs invoked ancestral wisdom about stewardship of the land. Art and culture naturally followed. Musicians composed songs about the cleanup, street poets wrote verses about pride and self-reliance, and theater groups staged impromptu performances celebrating unity. For the first time in years, Burkina Faso's story was not about insurgency, drought, or poverty, but about hope, solidarity, and self-reliance. Communities that had previously been divided by politics or regional tensions found common ground in the simplest yet most symbolic of actions: cleaning their shared spaces. In a country often in global headlines for military coups and instability, the narrative suddenly shifted. It became about ordinary people creating extraordinary change. What do you think? If Burkina Faso can rise and clean an entire nation in just 7 days, what else can Africa achieve when we act together? Is it time for Africa to stop waiting for foreign aid and start building its own solutions, its own way, across Africa? In the comment section below, share your thoughts on whether it's time the world sees Africa not as a victim of problems, but as the birthplace of people-powered revolutions. Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If yes, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon next to it. We bring videos on Black Africa, its history, rich arts and culture, and things the world should know about. Thanks for watching, and until the next video, stay tuned.